Hey y'all, it's my review for The Real Housewives of New Jersey, episode 12. So we get into the episode and we have the annoying montage of all the ladies in the families, blah, blah, blah. Speaking of which, we're with Jen now and her family, Jennifer Aiden. She's with her two brothers. One is gay, I remember him. And then the other brother who had like the bride that was given to him. I don't know. Y'all know what I mean. Not like a mail order bride, but she was selected for him or whatever, and she got their apartment. But anyway, she's catching up with them, and of course the topic of her and Danielle comes up, and she gives her version of events yet again, and saying like, oh, I pushed her like that. And then she's calling Danielle hostile and aggressive, called her dirt as well as garbage, and just trying to play the victim role like she didn't own any part in that. She then expresses her disappointment in her bestie Teresa for not having her back. Like, she's mad that Teresa wants her to make up with her, and she's like, do I tell you to make up with people that you don't want to make up with? And I get it. I get her frustration because she is a loyal, devout minion to Teresa. And she expects that in return. But from Teresa? Really? Like, girl, I know you've been stalking her before you were on the show. Have you watched? Because this is right in line how Teresa acts. She then says in her confessional that something has to change or else her being on autopilot for Teresa and having her back will diminish. Yeah, I'd like to see. I don't believe her. Next scene, we're with Rachel as she's being visited by Danielle. It's so nice to see the two of them getting along. So as they're talking, Danielle's talking about her dad and how he wasn't able to make her event. It was another excuse, but she said that her stepmother got her eyelids done and something happened and he couldn't go. Anywho, she's saying that, she missed talking to her dad because her situation with Jennifer, he would have been on her side. She says in her confessional, he was the type of dad that if she got into a fight or whatever in high school, he would be the one, cheering her on like, you better beat her ass. And, we've had some parents like that. I remember my cousins, we used to get into fights a lot back in the day. Not me, me and my cousins used to get in fights, but also fights with other kids in the neighborhood. And his parents would be like, oh, you crying? I'm gonna give you something to cry about if you don't go back out there and whip his ass. That type of parent. Yes, it was a different time back then, but y'all know what I mean. Maybe not the Gen Zers, but the millennials and the Gen Xers, y'all know what I mean. So then Danielle's giving Rachel the tea about what happened at Teresa's podcast event. She lets her know it was in a church, and then Rachel says, oh, well, did it burn down? And it is so funny because that is what Danielle said to Jennifer. And speaking of which, Danielle is still pretty proud of herself for telling Jen that she looked like shit when she walked out the door. Personally, I'm here for Danielle and keeping that same energy anytime she sees Jennifer. So then we find out that Rachel is hosting the next event for all the ladies, except for Teresa. It's going to be kind of like a grown-up slumber party. She is inviting Jennifer Aiden. She asks Danielle if she's cool with that, and Danielle's like, yeah, I'm fine with that. So Rachel also talks about her beef with Jen Fessler. She didn't really talk to her much at Melissa's event, but she's saying, she's still going to invite her. She's fine with that. Like, she don't hate her, but she can be cordial. And I feel like the friendship between them is different now. And I kind of relate to Rachel because I have a recent situation with a friend who I was really cool with. We used to work together. They just did something that was betrayal to me, but now he's friends with one of my friends, so I see him a lot. And we've gotten over it, we've talked, but our friendship never got back to that place where it was. But we're still cordial. And I'm actually inviting him to my birthday this weekend. I mean, not the brunch, but like the after festivities, like when we get drinks, that's fine, because I don't have any hatred. We can still hang out. We just not as cool. As I'm saying this, I'm just thinking, I'm such a Leo. Like, once our trust gets burned, it's hard to get it back. Next scene, we're with Teresa talking to Gia. We're catching up with Gia and how she's going to become a lawyer, kind of, sort of, maybe, unless she falls into the reality show game her mom is doing. Gia is basically the unofficial friend of the show. Like, she's sitting there talking with her mom like they are just good girlfriends, cussing too. Now, I don't feel comfortable cursing in front of my mom, but I understand that, maybe it's just different cultures. They're then talking about Louis' court case that he's going at it with his ex. I'm guessing it's been a long time. And it looks like it's frustrating Teresa or stressing her out. Oh, so it's his ex-fiance. I was just like, what, his ex-wife? Apparently she has a restraining order against him. What are they fighting over though? Like, what is the civil case about? Like, I don't care about this outside of the show, so if you know, let me know in the comments. Teresa automatically assumes his ex is lying. I think this is all what Margaret was trying to warn Teresa about when they were friends. So then we find out from Teresa in her confessional that Margaret has something to do with the court case. I guess she's been talking to Louis' ex, according to Teresa, and that's why she hates her so much. So all this to say, when Louis' court case is over, Teresa is going to bring her lawyer over who knows more about Louis' case to let the other ladies know how Margaret's been involved, how it's been hurting her. I feel like she wants to say how it's hurting the rest of the group. I don't know, but she definitely wants everyone against Margaret. Teresa made sure to say that this isn't Louis' attorney, but I'm sure he's been giving Louis advice. Why else would you want him to talk to the ladies? Why can't you talk to the ladies? Oh, right, because you're too stupid. Why is Gia talking about the other women? Girl, like, do some homework. Now, see, when the other ladies talk about you, I don't want to hear anything from you or your mama. Next scene, we're at Margaret's hideous house, and she's being visited by Melissa and Joe. Apparently, she has Joe over to do some landscaping, to cut down the tree. I thought it was really awkward and kind of inappropriate for Melissa to tell Margaret's husband about cutting down the tree, and he can't because his pee-pee is hurting or something. And I'm like, no, it's not his dick, it's his prostate. Which, by the way, he might have cancer. I wouldn't joke about that. Speaking of cancer, Margaret still doesn't have an update from Joe's doctor, so she's still hoping that it's only good news. They're then talking about their relationship with Jackie, how she didn't tell anybody about her daughter's bar mitzvah. I'm sure she told Teresa. They then bring up the upcoming slumber party at Rachel's place. And then we see the two husbands, the two Joes, running in like kids, trying to pretend that Joe sliced his hand on the chainsaw. He literally put ketchup all over his hand, and they spotted it immediately. I love that they love their goofy ass husbands. Anywho, next scene, we're at Jen Fessler's house and she's being visited by Dolores. So they're talking about the group dynamic amongst the ladies and if they can all get along. I feel like Dolores is the main one worried about that because, you know, she's stuck in the middle. She's Switzerland. But then they're talking about the podcast event in the last episode, and Dolores is explaining why she went off on Jennifer because she was yelling at Teresa. She's saying that, you know, before the event, Teresa was telling her she had really high anxiety, and in the case that she passes out, to call 911. So dramatic. But Dolores saying she knew how stressed Teresa was, and it ticked her off that Jennifer was just adding on to that. Now, she goes into a little detail why Teresa's stressed because of a court case, but she says, I don't want to know the details of it. You know, I don't want to mess up the case. I don't want to be blamed for anything. Now, Dolores, I love you, but I got to keep it fair and keep it 100. You saying you don't want to be involved with a court case when you definitely wrote a character letter for another case that was very sus for you to do that. I'm going to just leave it there. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Jen Fessler is now talking about her beef with Rachel. She said she wasn't going to go to the sleepover at first because she sent her a really long message after the event where Rachel yelled at her. Was it the Bougie Kids event? I think it was. But when she didn't respond to that long ass text, she felt some type of way. And when she got that invite, she's like, why would I go to this sleepover? And I get it from Fessler's angle. It's just like you wrote this pouring your heart out to her and you get no response. So yeah, I get it. But I will say their fight is the most boring out of all the fights on the show. Because I really think it's something that they can easily get over. I just think Fessler doesn't see Rachel's perspective on the whole Teresa issue. Dolores actually sums it up perfectly in a euphemistic way, saying that you guys are in such a vast difference in life that y'all being close don't make sense. Now, how I read that in layman's terms was they're in two different age groups and maybe their ideals don't meet up all the time. They have different expectations for each other. So a friendship between the two of them, it's not surprising that it is where it is right now. Now, y'all let me know if y'all got a different interpretation of what Dolores was saying. In this moment, Dolores does convince Fessler to hit up Rachel and go to the slumber party after all. Also, Dolores wants to set up like a getaway for all the ladies to do some type of retreat. Lord, I'm sure a sound bath was involved or some shit. But I'm kind of confused because I thought the next episode was supposed to be the finale. So we'll see, they don't really let us know. Because from what we were told, there is no cash trip. Not Fessler begrudgingly letting Rachel know that she's gonna come to her event. And then making throw-up noises afterward. Girl, just don't go then. So next scene we're with Teresa, she's meeting Jennifer Aiden for lunch. So I hate this scene, but the gist of the conversation is Jennifer lets Teresa know that, you know, she's ride or die for her and she just wants to feel the same. Teresa just felt like she was between a rock and a hard place, but it seemed like Jennifer is actually standing her ground and letting Teresa know what she feels. Like, it doesn't feel like she's scared of Teresa, but she just let her know what it is. Like, maybe I shouldn't ride or die for you like that. But then Teresa affirms to Jennifer that she had to pick between her and Danielle. It would be her. And then Jennifer says, good, because I don't think she's a good friend to you like I am. It's given very single white female. Like, she's really obsessed with Teresa. I think it's unhealthy. Like, I bet she wants to be Teresa's closest friend, like closer than Dolores, closer than Jackie. Like, if Jackie got too close to Teresa, she's probably gonna start some shit with her like she did with Danielle. So then they pivot to talking about Louis' court case. And from what I'm getting, like, the whole court case is about his ex getting a restraining order against him. And he just needs to defend himself about why there doesn't need to be one. It's still weird to me though, because what is the root of all of this? But according to Teresa, she can't wait till the trial ends so she can talk about it and then expose Margaret. Wow, she really has a vendetta against Margaret. A dummy with a mission. Alright, so next scene is the evening of Rachel's slumber party event. So most of the ladies are arriving and it's pretty cordial so far. I mean, even Margaret and Jackie are getting along. The best part about this scene? No Teresa. I love that the ladies have their own bartender. Again, I see a Cosmo ordered and it's too dark. Like, Cosmos aren't supposed to be a dark red color. It's supposed to be a blush pink. So Fessler is arriving, and according to the music producers are playing, it's supposed to be some tense moment, but again, I'm bored from that fight. So Fessler and Rachel, they have a conversation away from the other ladies, and it goes well. I mean, they hug afterward, but the issue is, after filming, they have not spoken. So maybe something happened, like I guess at the Rails dinner. So a little later on, the activity for the ladies is they have a psychic come in. Well, not a psychic, but a lipstick reader that's gonna read their fortunes through their lipstick prints. And we've seen they had a psychic before that was reading coffee grounds, and this was last season. Speaking of psychics, the ladies asked the lady, is she one? And she says, well, I'm not a psychic, I'm an intuitive empath. What the fuck does that mean? I can't. I'm gonna fast forward through this. This woman is a hack. So we see Jennifer Aiden and Jackie talking, and Jen tells her that she read her book and just asking her how is it doing. And Jackie's being pretty modest, saying, oh yeah, it's selling, it's doing okay. It's not on the New York Times bestseller, but we're doing okay. We then cut to messy-ass Jennifer's confessional, and she's saying, not everybody can be Teresa Giudice. And yeah, that's your friends, Jackie. Another L for you. Wear it like a badge, because you have like 7 of them at this point. So then we see Danielle's the last one to arrive. She's pretty late, and production, just like when Fessler entered, they're playing like the dramatic music as if something's about to happen. We saw that she brought a cake, and there's little stick figures of the ladies. It's about like 7 of them, and then you see one of them that's like hanging off the side, and Margaret messy-ass, she's asking, is that Jennifer? With Jennifer right there. She knew what she was doing. Margaret, you need to stop. You're being messy. But even in that moment, nothing happened. Everything's cordial right now. We cut to Danielle's confessional. She says she's going to behave herself at this event. She also says in her confessional that she did do that intentionally to one of the wafers on the cake. Oh, now wait a fucking minute. They're doing champagne bombs. I know that is not a bottle of Corbel. Corbel! Really? That's a bottle of Corbel, y'all. Like, slow motion or pause it. Y'all know how offended I get when I see that bottle, especially on Housewives. So they're continuing playing games, and they're all actually having a good time. And look, guess who's not there? And maybe that's the reason why they're having a good time. All right, so now they're all at the table and they're bonding, having sex talk. And I think it's one thing on a Housewives franchise to bond all the ladies, even if they're beefing, is to talk about sex and penis. But also, I don't want to hear about any of the men on this show and their sex lives. So fast forward. Okay, now actually, I do want to go back because I want to know what Jennifer Aydin meant by milking the prostate. What is that exactly? Because are you like hitting the booty button while you're like going down on him? Is that what you mean? Or you're hitting the booty button while you're... This isn't Chris After Dark. This isn't the Patreon, but I'm just curious. Ladies in the chat, what is milking the prostate? Anywho, we're moving on, and Dolores and Gent Fessler is telling the ladies that they were thinking about all doing a retreat with everyone there. And just the looks on the ladies' faces, I mean, pretty much they're all there right now. Like, the only person that's missing is Teresa, and she's gonna change the entire dynamic. She is the toxic factor in the group. So it looks like all the ladies agreed to it. You know Jennifer Aydin was the one wondering, is Teresa invited? And Dolores said, let us worry about that. We're gonna try. Afterward, yeah, the credits are rolling and the ladies continue to have fun. And that is where the episode ends. Now, next week is supposed to be the last episode, but they don't say anything about it being the last episode. So I'm a little confused. Maybe Bravo's seen that the season isn't doing too bad and they're extending another episode. I don't know. But y'all let me know what y'all thought about this episode. It was given mostly filler. It was alright, but it was definitely a filler episode. But with that, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you for the next episode. Bye.